Few topics in social psychology are as emotionally charged or socially consequential as prejudice and discrimination. These phenomena shape institutions, relationships, health outcomes, and life opportunities. They also challenge a common assumption people hold about themselves, that prejudice is primarily a problem of overt hostility or malicious intent. Social psychology reveals a more complex and uncomfortable reality. At its core, prejudice refers to preconceived attitudes or judgments about individuals based on their membership in a particular group. Discrimination refers to behaviors or actions that disadvantage individuals because of that group membership. While prejudice involves attitudes, discrimination involves behavior, and one can exist without the other. People may act in discriminatory ways even when they consciously reject prejudiced beliefs. Social psychologists also distinguish stereotypes, cognitive beliefs about groups, from emotional prejudice and behavioral discrimination. Stereotypes are mental shortcuts formed as the brain attempts to efficiently process social information. While this efficiency can be adaptive, it becomes harmful when generalized assumptions replace individual understanding. One of the most powerful drivers of prejudice is social categorization. Humans naturally organize the social world into groups. This process simplifies complexity, but it also creates boundaries between us and them. Once these categories are established, in-group favoritism often follows. Individuals tend to attribute positive qualities to their own group while viewing outgroups with suspicion or negativity, even in the absence of direct conflict. Prejudice is not only learned through personal experience, it is also transmitted socially through families, peer groups, media, institutions, and cultural narratives. Social learning plays a significant role, especially when prejudiced attitudes are modeled by authority figures or normalized within a community. Over time, these attitudes can become embedded in social structures, giving rise to institutional and systemic discrimination, patterns of inequality that persist regardless of individual intentions. Cognitive processes further reinforce prejudice. People are prone to confirmation bias, selectively attending to information that supports existing beliefs while ignoring contradictory evidence. Attribution errors also contribute. Negative behaviors by outgroup members are often explained as reflecting character flaws, while similar behaviors by in-group members are explained as situational. These asymmetrical explanations deepen group divisions and sustain bias. The consequences of prejudice and discrimination are far-reaching. Research consistently demonstrates links between discrimination and negative mental and physical health outcomes, including increased stress, anxiety, depression, and reduced access to care. In professional contexts, such as healthcare, education, and the justice system, implicit biases can influence decision-making in ways that disadvantage already vulnerable populations. Importantly, social psychology also examines how prejudice can be reduced. One of the most well-supported approaches is the contact hypothesis, which proposes that under appropriate conditions, interaction between members of different groups can reduce prejudice. These conditions include equal status, shared goals, cooperation, and institutional support. Simply bringing people together is not enough. The social context must encourage mutual respect and collaboration. Education and self-awareness also play critical roles. Learning to recognize implicit bias does not eliminate it, but it does create space for reflection and corrective action. Social norms matter as well. When societies clearly communicate that discrimination is unacceptable, prejudiced expressions and behaviors tend to decrease, even if private attitudes change more slowly. Ultimately, social psychology reframes prejudice not as a moral failing of a few individuals, but as a social process shaped by cognition, culture, and context. This perspective does not excuse harm, but it does suggest that meaningful change requires more than goodwill. It requires structural awareness, intentional intervention, and a commitment to equity at both personal and institutional levels. Understanding prejudice and discrimination is therefore not only an academic exercise, it is an ethical responsibility. By recognizing how bias forms and persists, individuals and institutions can begin the difficult but necessary work of creating more just and inclusive social environments.